In a world filled with constant pressure to succeed, fix problems, and control outcomes, true compassion often seems elusive. How can we be there for others without trying to fix their pain? How can we support someone without taking on the burden of their struggles or needing to control every situation? These are questions that many of us grapple with, especially in our relationships, careers, and daily lives. Yet, the teachings of Buddhism offer a profound perspective on compassion, one that is not based on rescue or control, but rather rooted in presence, understanding, and support. This form of compassion has the potential to transform not just our relationships with others, but also our own sense of peace and self-awareness. What if I told you that the most powerful form of love is not about solving someone's problems, but about standing beside them, offering your presence, and allowing them the space to navigate their own challenges? In today's video, we will explore the concept of compassion without control, and how this Buddhist teaching can unlock a deeper, more peaceful way of connecting with others. Get ready to discover a new way to love, a way that frees both you and others from the need to control, fix, or change what is beyond your power. Key Concept 1. The power of letting go. One of the core teachings of Buddhism is the concept of letting go. Letting go does not imply giving up or avoiding responsibility. Rather, it means recognizing the inherent wisdom in impermanence. Life is a constant state of change, and nothing remains the same forever. When we cling to the past, we burden ourselves with old memories, unresolved conflicts, or unfulfilled dreams. Similarly, when we focus too much on the future, we tend to create anxiety over things we cannot control. This constant cycle of worry keeps us shackled, preventing us from living in the present. Buddhism teaches us that life's impermanence is not something to fear but to embrace. Change is inevitable, and trying to control the uncontrollable only leads to stress and suffering. When we release our grip on these uncontrollable elements, we allow ourselves the freedom to fully engage in the present moment. This does not mean abandoning our principles or our values, but it does mean allowing life to flow as it naturally will. We stop trying to force life into a mold and instead allow ourselves to adapt, grow, and respond to the world as it is. Letting go can be an uncomfortable process. It requires vulnerability and trust. It means accepting that we cannot predict or control every outcome. But it is also a profound act of self-liberation. By letting go of the need to control the past or the future, we create space for new opportunities, new experiences, and new ways of being. Consider the example of a well-known figure like Steve Jobs. Jobs, co-founder of Apple, was notorious for his drive and his intense desire to control every detail of his company's products. However, in his later years, particularly after his battle with cancer, Jobs spoke openly about the importance of accepting life's impermanence. In his final moments, he let go of his concerns about legacy or success, instead embracing the present and the relationships that mattered most to him. His willingness to face his mortality with acceptance serves as a powerful reminder of how letting go of control, fear, and attachment can lead to profound peace. Letting go doesn't mean being passive or apathetic. Instead, it means responding to life from a place of clarity and acceptance, without being moved by unnecessary fears or desires. It is a practice of releasing attachment while remaining fully engaged in the flow of life. A real-life example of letting go. To better understand the profound impact of letting go, let's look at a famous story about Zen master Hakuin. Hakuin, known for his calm demeanor and deep wisdom, is often cited in Buddhist teachings as a model of detachment and acceptance. In one particular story, a young woman came to Hakuin, deeply distressed because she was pregnant out of wedlock. Her family, furious and ashamed, demanded to know who the father was. Fearing the consequences, the woman, in her panic, falsely claimed that Hakuin was the father. In the face of such a scandal, Hakuin simply responded, "Is that so? Then bring the child here." Despite the humiliation and judgment from the woman's family, Hakuin didn't react with anger or shame. When the child was brought to him, he accepted the responsibility without protest, raising the child with care and humility. He continued with his life as though nothing had happened, embodying the very essence of stillness and acceptance. Months later, the young woman admitted the truth that Hakuin was not the father but another man. But during the entire ordeal, Hakuin remained undisturbed. He didn't cling to the need to prove his innocence or control the unfolding of events. Instead, he allowed the situation to unfold as it would without resistance or judgment. This story reflects the essence of Buddhist teachings. Life is unpredictable, and when we learn to release our need for control, we create space for peace, even in the midst of chaos. Letting go and control in modern contexts in our modern world, the concept of letting go is particularly relevant. We live in an era where control is highly valued. People are often told that if they want something to happen, they must make it happen, forcing life to bend to their will. The desire for control can be seen in everything from work to relationships to personal goals. However, what happens when we try too hard to control the uncontrollable? One of the most famous personalities who illustrates the power of letting go is Nelson Mandela. Mandela's life was filled with resistance, resisting apartheid, resisting injustice, and resisting oppression. However, in his later years after being released from prison, Mandela recognized the power of reconciliation over revenge. Rather than clinging to old resentments, Mandela let go of his anger toward those who had imprisoned him. His willingness to forgive and embrace the future allowed him to heal and help heal his country. His ability to release the past became a powerful tool for moving forward with a sense of unity, purpose, and peace. Letting go does not mean being passive or resigned to a life of inaction. Rather, it is an active decision to not allow attachment to outcomes, fears, or past mistakes to dictate our current actions. When we let go of control, we often find that life offers new possibilities, opportunities, and paths that we may have missed if we had remained fixated on a singular idea of how things should be. In fact, some of the most successful people in the world, like the Dalai Lama, emphasize the importance of inner peace through letting go. The Dalai Lama often speaks about how attachment to material success, social status, or personal ambitions can be a source of suffering. Through meditation and mindfulness, he advocates for releasing these attachments, allowing for a deeper connection to the present moment. By letting go of these external desires, we make room for inner peace, clarity, and wisdom to emerge. The transformative power of letting go. When we let go, we create space in our lives, not just physically, but emotionally and mentally. We create room for new experiences, new ways of thinking, and new connections. Letting go allows us to embrace the present moment fully, without being tethered to the past or overly concerned with the future. One example of this is the transition that many people go through during midlife. As people age, they often find that the dreams and expectations they once had for their lives no longer align with their reality. Letting go of these outdated ideals can be a powerful process. Rather than clinging to old plans, one can embrace the wisdom of the present moment, acknowledging the value of experience and the beauty of growth. This practice of letting go doesn't diminish the value of the past. It allows for greater appreciation of the now. Additionally, the act of letting go frees us from the constant cycle of anxiety and stress. In our society, we are often taught to push harder, do more, and strive for success. But true peace comes when we stop striving for perfection and allow life to unfold in its own time. By letting go of the need to control every situation, we not only free ourselves, but also allow others the space to live authentically, without the pressure of our expectations. Key Concept 2. Stillness and clarity. In the pursuit of clarity and wisdom, the concept of stillness holds an essential role in Buddhism. However, stillness is often misunderstood. It's not about inactivity or the complete absence of movement. Instead, it's about cultivating a sense of calm and awareness that allows us to be unaffected by the distractions and turmoil of the world around us. True stillness is the absence of being moved by things that don't truly matter. It's about tuning into the present moment without being pulled away by the noise of our thoughts or the demands of external circumstances. In a world filled with constant distractions, noise, and rapid movement, stillness is a powerful antidote. It creates space for us to hear the wisdom that resides within, and it enables us to differentiate between our conditioned thoughts, those based on fear, anxiety, or desire, and the deeper truths that come from the present moment. The mind is often caught up in past regrets or future anxieties, but through stillness, we can clear away the clutter and focus on what truly matters in the here and now. Buddhism teaches that clarity is born out of stillness. The mind is constantly bombarded by external stimuli and internal chatter, which cloud our perception of reality. When we stop and allow ourselves to be still, we are better able to observe our thoughts and feelings without being carried away by them. Stillness allows us to step back, observe our emotions and reactions, and gain insight into our true selves. It is only through cultivating this stillness that we can experience clarity, which is an essential tool for navigating life's challenges. Stillness is not something that happens overnight. It is a practice that requires patience and discipline. Meditation, a key aspect of Buddhist practice, helps cultivate this stillness. Whether we are sitting on a cushion or simply going about our daily tasks, the goal is to be present in each moment, observing without attachment or judgment. The more we practice stillness, the more we are able to see clearly and respond to life with wisdom, instead of reacting out of habit or fear. The role of meditation in cultivating stillness. Meditation is the cornerstone of stillness in Buddhist practice. It teaches us to quiet the mind, which in turn helps us to calm the emotional turbulence that often dictates our responses to life. Meditation doesn't mean forcing our minds to stop thinking. Rather, it is about observing our thoughts and letting them pass by without engaging with them. In meditation, we learn to become the observer of our thoughts rather than being identified with them. This shift in perspective is liberating. It allows us to see our thoughts for what they are: temporary and often driven by unconscious patterns, rather than believing that they define us. Over time, the practice of meditation helps us to create a mental space where we can see things clearly, without the interference of reactive emotions or habitual patterns of thought. Consider someone like Oprah Winfrey, a highly influential figure in the media world, who has spoken extensively about her own journey with meditation. For Winfrey, meditation is a daily practice that helps her stay grounded and present in the midst of her busy schedule. She has talked about how meditation gives her the stillness she needs to respond thoughtfully to life, rather than reacting impulsively. Oprah's consistent practice of stillness through meditation has been one of the key factors in her personal growth, allowing her to remain centered despite the chaos of her career. The power of observation. Becoming the observer of our thoughts. One of the key benefits of cultivating stillness is the ability to observe our thoughts and emotions without becoming swept away by them. Most people go through life constantly reacting to what is happening around them. We are bombarded with information, expectations, and emotions, and our automatic response is often to react without thought. This can lead to stress, anxiety, and conflict. However, through the practice of stillness, we can train ourselves to pause and observe before reacting. When we become the observer of our thoughts, we break the cycle of automatic reactions. For example, when we find ourselves frustrated or angry, we can take a moment to pause and reflect. Why am I feeling this way? Is this reaction based on something from the past, or is it a reaction to something that is happening right now? By allowing ourselves to be still and observe, we create the space necessary to respond with wisdom rather than reacting out of habit or fear. This shift in perspective is incredibly powerful. Instead of being at the mercy of our emotions, we become more grounded in our true selves, making decisions that are aligned with our values and long-term goals. Leaders such as Barack Obama have also spoken about how their practice of stillness helps them navigate difficult decisions. Obama, in his memoir A Promised Land, recounts moments where he had to step back and reflect on his decisions, avoiding the temptation to rush into a response. His ability to stay calm, still, and observe the bigger picture has been one of the reasons he was able to make decisions that were not only impactful, but also rooted in clarity and long-term vision. The river and the rock, a metaphor for emotional resilience. To further understand the concept of stillness, let's look at the metaphor of the river and the rock. In this metaphor, the river represents the flow of life, and the rock represents the obstacles or challenges we face. The river doesn't try to fight the rock, it simply flows around it. Over time, the river's constant movement smooths the rock's rough edges, but it never forces the rock to change. It doesn't fight the rock, it just flows around it. This is a profound lesson for navigating life's difficulties. We all encounter obstacles, whether in our relationships, careers, or personal lives. The natural impulse may be to resist these obstacles, to try and push against them or change them to fit our desires. However, the river teaches us that resistance only creates more friction and suffering. Instead, we can practice stillness, allowing ourselves to flow around the obstacles, accepting them as part of the journey. Over time, we become more resilient, and the obstacles that once seemed insurmountable no longer have the same power over us. This is especially true in times of emotional hardship. When we experience emotional pain or turmoil, our natural instinct is often to push it away, to avoid or suppress it. But through the practice of stillness, we learn to sit with our emotions, to observe them without judgment, and to allow them to pass through us. This doesn't mean we suppress our emotions, but rather that we don't allow them to control us. By practicing stillness, we develop the emotional resilience to weather life's storms without becoming overwhelmed by them. Consider the story of Malala Yousafzai, the youngest ever recipient of the Nobel Peace Prize. In the face of extreme adversity, being shot by the Taliban for advocating for girls' education, Malala practiced stillness. Instead of reacting with anger or fear, she used her platform to advocate for peace and education for all. Malala's stillness in the face of trauma allowed her to transform her pain into a force for good, showing us that even in the most challenging circumstances, stillness can provide the clarity needed to act with purpose and resilience. Stillness as the foundation for clarity. When we cultivate stillness, we are better able to see clearly. In our fast-paced, information-saturated world, clarity is often obscured by the constant barrage of thoughts, emotions, and external influences. We are bombarded with conflicting opinions, expectations, and distractions, making it difficult to discern what is true or important. Stillness gives us the mental space to filter out the noise and focus on what really matters. When we practice stillness, we train ourselves to see things as they are, without distortion. This clarity is essential for making thoughtful, deliberate decisions in all areas of our lives. It allows us to act with intention and wisdom, rather than reacting out of fear or impulsiveness. In the business world, leaders like Elon Musk have spoken about the importance of clear thinking in decision-making. Musk, known for his role in pioneering companies like Tesla and SpaceX, has often emphasized the need for clarity in vision. He attributes much of his success to his ability to quiet the noise and focus on long-term goals. Stillness for Musk is not about inaction, but about creating the mental space to innovate and push the boundaries of what is possible. Key Concept 3. Compassion without control. In a world driven by outcomes, instant solutions, and a focus on efficiency, the practice of compassion, as taught in Buddhism, is a deeply transformative principle. Compassion, when truly understood, is not about fixing someone else's problems or rescuing them from their pain. It is not about assuming the role of the savior or expecting immediate results from our actions. Rather, compassion is about being present with someone in their struggle, offering them support without the burden of needing to solve their challenges for them. This subtle yet powerful distinction opens up a new way of being with others, one rooted in empathy, understanding, and freedom. At its core, compassion involves recognizing and responding to another's pain or difficulty with kindness, but without an attachment to controlling the situation or the person's experience. True compassion stems from a deep understanding that each individual is on their own unique journey. It acknowledges that suffering is a part of life, and our role is not to eradicate it, but to walk alongside others, offering presence and support when needed. Buddhism teaches that we are not here to save others. We are here to support them as they navigate their path, empowering them to confront and overcome their own difficulties. In doing so, we are not only helping them, but we are also freeing ourselves from the cycle of trying to control every situation. This liberation from attachment to outcomes allows for deeper compassion to flow freely, not only benefiting others but also fostering our own growth and healing. In today's world, where people often seek quick fixes or look to others for immediate solutions, the concept of compassion without control is revolutionary. We are often conditioned to believe that love means solving problems, but Buddhism teaches us that compassion is much more about presence and understanding. Compassion without control helps to create space for both the giver and the receiver, allowing both to grow and heal in ways that are often impossible when one is trying to impose their will upon the situation. The role of compassion in relationships. The dynamics of relationships, whether with family, friends, or romantic partners, are often complex and filled with emotional highs and lows. We frequently find ourselves wanting to help those we love, sometimes to the point of overextending ourselves or taking on their emotional burdens. While our intentions are often rooted in love, this desire to fix or control the situation can have the opposite effect, creating distance and even resentment. Take, for example, the relationship between a parent and a child. A parent, driven by the love they feel for their child, may find themselves constantly intervening in their child's life, trying to solve every problem, protect them from every disappointment, and shield them from the pain of failure. However, this approach can often result in the child feeling disempowered, as though they cannot handle their own struggles. True compassion in this scenario would involve allowing the child to experience their challenges, offering guidance and support without stepping in to fix everything. The Buddha's teachings emphasize that love allows space for the other person to grow, and this space is essential for personal development. Parents who practice compassion in this way allow their children to develop resilience, to learn from their mistakes, and to ultimately grow into individuals capable of facing life's challenges with confidence and strength. This concept of compassion without control is also profoundly illustrated in the life of Nelson Mandela, whose leadership and forgiveness reshaped the course of South Africa's history. Mandela could have easily sought revenge or demanded complete control over the situation in the aftermath of apartheid. Instead, he chose compassion. He understood that true healing for the country could not come from domination or control, but from offering space for reconciliation and mutual understanding. His capacity for compassion without attachment to outcomes helped to create an environment where healing could take place, not because of his imposition, but because of his willingness to let others face their own pain and to heal in their own time. The difference between love and fear. The Buddha often spoke about the difference between love and fear, an idea that resonates deeply with the concept of compassion without control. Many of us, particularly in close relationships, may think we are acting out of love when we try to fix someone's problems or control their experiences. However, what we often fail to recognize is that the impulse to control or intervene may actually stem from fear. Fear of being unneeded, fear of losing control, or fear of being vulnerable. This distinction is particularly important when we examine the ways in which love manifests in relationships. When we try to fix someone's pain, we may not be acting purely out of love but out of fear. Fear that we will be abandoned if we don't intervene, fear that our loved one's pain will overwhelm us, or fear that we are somehow not fulfilling our role as a caregiver. This fear-driven love tends to create unhealthy dynamics in relationships, as it inadvertently places the giver of the help in a position of power, while diminishing the autonomy and self-efficacy of the one receiving help. True love, however, does not need to rescue. Compassionate love offers support while recognizing that the other person has the ability to handle their own challenges. It says, "I am here for you if you need me," rather than "I must fix everything for you." This kind of love is rooted in trust, both in the other person's ability to grow and in the wisdom of the universe itself. Love that stems from this place of understanding is empowering rather than disempowering, offering space for others to evolve and make their own decisions. One powerful example of this in action is seen in the relationship between Maya Angelou and her mentor, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Maya Angelou often spoke about how Dr. King offered her profound compassion without trying to control or fix her. Instead, he provided a safe space for her to grow and find her own voice. He never forced her to adopt his ideals, but he supported her as she found her own path. This kind of compassion without control allowed Angelou to evolve as a writer, a public figure, and a force for positive change. Compassion without control in the modern world. In our contemporary society, compassion without control is an essential yet often overlooked principle. We live in a time when people are often expected to act as fixers, whether in their personal or professional lives. Social media and online communities exacerbate this pressure by presenting a filtered version of reality where everything appears perfect, and everyone is supposed to have their life together. The pressure to fix problems and make everything better can lead to burnout, stress, and dissatisfaction. In the world of business, figures like Richard Branson, the founder of Virgin Group, exemplify compassion without control in their leadership style. Branson is known for empowering his employees, allowing them to take risks, make mistakes, and grow from their experiences. Instead of micromanaging or controlling every decision, Branson provides support, encouragement, and resources while trusting his team to find their own solutions. This approach has not only led to the success of Virgin Group, but also fostered a culture of trust, creativity, and mutual respect within the company. Similarly, in personal relationships, many people find themselves in situations where they feel responsible for fixing their partner's struggles, whether emotional, financial, or social. However, this desire to control can often lead to frustration and resentment on both sides. A true demonstration of love and compassion in these situations involves offering emotional support without taking on the burden of solving the problem. This creates a healthier dynamic in the relationship, where both parties are allowed to face their struggles independently while knowing they have each other's unconditional support. The role of boundaries in compassion without control. One key aspect of practicing compassion without control is the establishment of healthy boundaries. Compassionate individuals understand that in order to be truly supportive, they must set boundaries to preserve their own energy and well-being. Without boundaries, compassion can quickly turn into burnout, as the individual may feel overwhelmed by the weight of others' struggles. In Buddhism, the practice of setting boundaries is seen as a way to maintain balance and avoid attachment. By setting boundaries, we are able to offer compassion from a place of strength and clarity, rather than from a place of depletion or fear. This ensures that the help we offer is genuine and sustainable, rather than rooted in the need to control or rescue. The Dalai Lama, a powerful example of compassion in the modern world, often speaks about the importance of self-care and setting boundaries. He emphasizes that in order to help others effectively, we must first take care of ourselves, and this requires maintaining healthy emotional boundaries. By doing so, we prevent ourselves from becoming overwhelmed by the suffering of others, ensuring that our compassion remains rooted in wisdom and love. As we reflect on the idea of compassion without control, we realize that true love is not about solving every problem, but about offering our support and presence without expectation. It is not about carrying someone else's pain, but about standing beside them as they walk through it. By practicing compassion in this way, we free ourselves from the constant need to fix everything and open up space for genuine growth and healing for ourselves and others. Think of the incredible leaders who have embodied this type of compassion. Nelson Mandela, Maya Angelou, and even the Dalai Lama, each of them understood that love is not about control, but about offering support while allowing others to grow. By releasing our need to control outcomes, we can create relationships that are rooted in trust, respect, and empowerment. This approach does not diminish the importance of love. In fact, it amplifies it by allowing both parties to flourish in their own time and space. So the next time you find yourself in a challenging situation with someone you care about, ask yourself, how can I be present for them without needing to fix everything? How can I offer compassion without control? By embracing this mindset, we not only deepen our relationships, but also cultivate a more peaceful, centered version of ourselves. Compassion without control is not just a path to helping others, it's a path to freedom, peace, and emotional sovereignty. Let go of the urge to fix, be present, and in doing so, create space for real healing and growth for both yourself and those around you.